So
water is little tiny chemicals that float around, and if you
right, we don't worry about this, but so what are they, chemicals or are they particles?
they're particles, and if
So those particles, so those things, they move around in liquid?
they move around, and that forms a liquid, and if all of them, if you put
Water?
the water in the freezer, then all the particles start to freeze, and that makes a solid ice cube.
Okay. So what would happen to the particles if we put a fire underneath them? What would happen to those particles?
The particles would stop freezing and turn back into water.
Right. Okay. And what are the particles doing? What are the particles doing when they're going from freezing to liquid? What are the particles doing?
Changing.
How are they changing?
How? Because they're turning into ice, then water.
I know, but what are the particles doing?
The,
How do they act different when they're a solid, from a solid to a liquid? How are they acting different?
they're still and not still.
Oh, so they're not moving in the ice cube and they're moving when they're liquid?
Yep.
What happens if they get hotter? Like, what if I took that glass and I put it on the stove and I heated it up? What would happen to those particles?
The particles would melt and turn into gas.
They would melt and turn into gas. So that, yeah, so then they turn it, and what are the actions of those particles doing then? Are
Then they're floating.
right, they're floating, good. And are they moving faster or slower than they were as a liquid?
Pretty much faster.
Okay. Huh. So like, what would be the space? Give me a fist. Show me your fists of how far apart the particles would be if they were an ice cube. If your fist was one particle and your other fist was another particle, show me how far apart the particles would be if they're an ice cube.
If they're an ice cube?
Right. Okay, so now if they're water, okay, gas, okay. Awesome. What else do you know about solids, liquids, and gases? Anything? How did you discover that? How did you discover that they were made up of particles? Did somebody tell you that, or?
Yeah, someone told me about it, and I got a little curious about it, so I kept like thinking about what scientists do with particles.
Huh. And did anybody help you, or did you go and when you got curious about it?
No, I just got a question, and then I was very curious about it.
Yeah. So how did you answer your question? What did you do?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I started looking at pages of books about particles.
Yeah. And what else did you play with the water, or did you do anything?
Yeah, I was rubbing the water at school at a tank.
Yeah.
Wondering what they would be made of, because I forgot the question my friend gave me, and then he went up to me again and asked me about that question again.
What grade was your friend? What grade was your friend in that did that?
He was in first grade, and then second grade he took.
Are you studying about solids, liquids, and gases in the second grade?
Oh, we used to in first grade.
You studied about solids, liquids, and gases in the first grade?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know about the particles in the first grade?
Mm-mm.
So then how did you learn about particles this time?
Oh, because last year this friend of mine gave me a question, and I was searching up my mind for new experiences about particles, and I learned a lot about them. And then I forgot a little about them, and then my friend told me again, and I started looking at pictures and books.
About those particles?
Mm-hmm. And I have something new. I might have thought it was in 6th grade.
Huh.
That the heart controls all the blood vessels, makes your body move.
Huh.
And your brain is the one who's telling your body to move.
Wow.
And how you think of math.
Wow. Who told you that?
Just thought of it.
You just thought of it? Nobody told you that that's the way it works?
Well, I looked at a picture.
Oh, you looked at a picture and
Yeah,
and you.
it had the heart there, and it had some arrows pointing out of the blood vessels.
Yeah.
And then it showed me another picture. The brain controls those.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
The brain controls. Okay, so the heart sends the brain something, and then your body does it.
Right. That's really cool. You're curious about that stuff, the science and how the body works and how.
I'm pretty curious of science, like how the body works and other things around us that are tiny. And I'm pretty much curious about more crafts, too.
Huh.
Curious.
Yeah.
Just curious. Still need to drink my medicine.
Okay, go drink your medicine.